G'day everyone, Blake here with another video, and a lot of us, we spend the time and energy to keep our fish nice and healthy. So sometimes, especially the more shy ones, you want them up close and personal, whether that's so you can admire them or check them out, make sure they're not sick or injured or anything like that. So to do that, most people will try to stick some fish food to the front pane of the glass. Now I'm sure a lot of us have heard about Cera-O nip tabs before, which are kind of the most old school version of this. But there's actually heaps of options now of fish foods that you can stick to the front of your glass so you can check them out, take photos of them or examine their condition. So let's jump straight into the video and talk about why you might want to do this and which options are available. Let's jump straight into the video. Okay, so before we get into which options are available, let's talk about why you would want to do it. First of all, it's really fun to see fish actually kind of grazing and picking at something. It's a great way to get those shy fish out, and it's also a good way to get food into the fish, maybe down the bottom of the aquarium. If you've got heaps of really fast moving fish in the mid-water column that tend to eat up all the flakes or whatever before they get down to the bottom. So a grazing type food can be a good option for this. And let's start with Cera-O nip tabs. So Cera-O nip tabs have been around for ages and ages. I think they were first popularized probably by Aquarium Co-op and when they were selling them quite a bit. But in recent times they've changed their recipe, I believe, and they're not quite as good. They're really, really expensive as well, so I haven't really delved further into Cera-O nip tabs since the original packet that I bought years and years ago. So in the fish room here today, I've got 3 other great options that you can use, and let's have a look at them. So first of all is probably the most nutritious one I can find, and that is this. The good old-fashioned cube of freeze-dried foods. Now this one here is black worms in particular, but it will work for any of the cubes of tubifex worms, bloodworms, brine shrimp even. There's heaps and heaps of freeze-dried foods available. A lot of them come in these cubes, and you can easily just press this against the front pane of your glass. The fish will really love it. The only thing with me is these cubes are really quite big, so this is going to feed quite a large community tank. So you don't want to really put this in a tank that has maybe a few shrimp or something like that in it. This is going to have to go in a really fully stocked aquarium, or you can try and get a razor blade or scissors and cut it up into further smaller segments. But yeah, great option for some nutritious food that you can stick to the front of your aquarium. This guy here, that's not as adhesive as the foods that are actually made to be attached to glass or pressed onto glass, but it definitely does the trick. The other thing I find sometimes with this is if it gets detached early, these guys can float at the surface for quite a while and they don't really get inundated with water or soak up that water sometimes, so it can go a bit foul if you haven't paid attention to it. Definitely don't let that detract me from this though. I do this all the time and it's just even fun to check out those fish. If I haven't looked in on some for a while, chuck some of these on the glass and we're ready to go. And the next one I'm going to show you today is this one here. This is from Bioscape, from their insectivore range. This is an FD tab. Well, FD stands for freeze-dried, I believe. This contains some black soldier fly larvae, some mealworm larvae as well, and a bunch of vitamins, minerals, and other great ingredients. The only thing that's a kind of a downside with this is that it's got some sort of red coloration to it. Not really sure what it is, but it does leave behind a little bit of mess and debris. So that's kind of the only downside to it, but the fish really go hard for this food. They definitely devour it, and I don't regret getting this whatsoever. Unfortunately, I don't have the container for it because I've mixed it in with a bunch of other foods, but I'll definitely press this against the glass as well and show you the reaction to that today as well. The other thing as well, I think with it being a Bioscape food, that might only be available within Australia only, so that's definitely a downside to my overseas friends, but it comes at a pretty good price. I think it's about $19 per container, depending on where you get it from, so might be a good option, a good alternative as well to Cera-O nip tabs if you're in Australia. The last one I'm going to show you today is probably the most well put together, the most clever, and the one that I would probably prefer over the other options for this particular purpose, and that is this. This is a Vitalis Tropical Grazer, and the really cool thing about this is it's not relying on the adhesiveness of the food. You don't have to press together all these ingredients because it comes with this. Now this here is a suction cup, obviously. It's got a white cap on the end, which you pull apart, and then you place the food, which is in this kind of donut shape here on the suction cup, put the white cap on the end and it won't come off. Now in recent times I've been feeding a lot of Vitalis food. Here's some of the examples here, as well as the tabs that we're talking about right now. But I'm finding Vitalis to be a really, really nice food. It's very soft and easily pliable. You can crumble it up to feed to small fish. And I just think that it's really versatile and doesn't leave much mess behind as well. And these tabs are no different. So I like that it's a softer tab, because I find that sometimes if you're not gonna feed it to those really hyper aggressive fish like your guppies and platies, which by aggressive I mean at the food, something that's gonna be a bit more shy, a bit more placid and just sort of peck at things, then this guy here is a lot better, because it's nice and soft and it seems to be a lot more easily digested and easily eaten by fish that are maybe a bit more timid at the food, or that aren't so strong at pecking food away. Even the freeze-dried black worms, for that purpose, it can be hard for them to sometimes pull a worm separate from the block of worms. But these guys here are nice and soft, just like the rest of the Vitalis range. I find that it leaves behind minimal mess, which is a bit of an issue sometimes with these tabs. They can be a bit of like a holiday block kind of food where you're just left with mess everywhere. This I find to be really good, really versatile once again, and no matter what size fish you have or their capability to eat more difficult foods, they'll be able to have a go at this, no problem at all. I think that the reaction speaks for itself. So this food is $29 for the tub. It contains, I'm not really sure, but I'd guess about 40 just looking inside the packet, as well as the suction cup fixing. I haven't had any issues with adhesiveness of the suction cup, but I guess if you chew through this food fast enough, you shouldn't find that it gets dry and brittle over time, although, you know, that sort of remains to be seen. This was supplied to me by Aquarium Universe, and you can use my code to get a discount off that. And overall, I just think it's a great option to have in your fish room as a part of your regular feeding. So whether you take video of a fish regularly, take photos of fish regularly, or just want to sit back and enjoy them, I definitely recommend experimenting with attaching foods to the front pane of your glass, or the side pane if that's more easily viewed, and watching the feeding behavior. You can really make sure that everything is happy and healthy, and that the food is being distributed amongst the entire tank's worth of fish. As well as that, it's just a great option to get some more fulfillment and enjoyment from your fish, and overall, you know, it's a bit of variety to keep the hobby alive. So hopefully you like this video. If you've got any other great options for fish that you can stick to the glass, please let us know down below and we can do our own research on that. But other than that, hopefully you liked the video. If you did, it always helps me out to smash like, hit subscribe and all that fun stuff, and I'll catch you on the next one. Thanks for watching.